Okay, folks, I hope you had an awesome holiday and welcome to week 15. We're on the verge of being at the end of the semester. Your readings, I think, are totally done, and you're just going to be working on your final project at this point, doing peer reviews, and then you'll be doing a course reflection and a final presentation. So, what I'm about to do right now is walk you through your final project. I have the prompt listed on the Monday section for this week, and this is what it looks like. So the draft is due on the 4th of December, and there is a peer review discussion board available and already posted for that draft. Okay, you have to post your draft. If you don't post your draft, I won't accept your final. If for some reason you can't post your draft, you need to get a hold of me and you will need to go through CAPS or some sort of like online tutoring service, something like that, okay? If you can't get the draft in, you have to get a hold of me, all right? So, that's that, okay? And the reason, right, is that everything needs to go through drafts, but also you'll be doing a peer review, and the peer review is worth 150 points. Okay, so it's a huge chunk of your grade. So you're going to be posting the draft on the 4th, right? You'll post a review to two of your peers on the 8th, and then the final will be due on the 15th. Okay, so right, the purpose of the assignment is to explore one or more of the texts and analytical approaches from the course. Okay, we've been doing those journals throughout the course where you kind of talk about a potential final project, right? This is where hopefully you can expand one of those journal assignments into a larger document or project. If you are sick of all that stuff by now or you have a new idea, that's totally fine. You are not obligated to write your final project on something that was in one of your journals. Um, it's easier to do that though, okay? Because you've already been thinking about it and you've already like generated some ideas around it. Um, you can also talk about texts that are not from the class as long as you include um, stuff from the class as well, right? So like if you wanted to talk about if you wanted to talk about 28 days later and compare it to breathers, you could totally do that, right? As long as you had, right, a coherent kind of thesis statement and a coherent comparison that wasn't just like they're both about zombies and this one has, mean zombies and this one has good zombies or something. Like it would have to be a little bit more of a sophisticated analysis than that. Um, but you're more than welcome to talk about like video games, comics, films, stuff like that from outside the class, as long as like your central focus is at least one of the texts from a course. Okay. Um, so options and requirements. Um, you're gonna need to plan to use at least two academic sources no matter what you do. With the traditional essay, I'm asking you guys to use 5 scholarly articles, okay? Um, And since a lot of you have been like doing research for your journals, right, as you should, like throughout the semester, you can use that research you've already done and add to it. Okay. And you have a few different options here for what to do. So the traditional essay, right, is probably just expanding one of your journal assignments or writing something new. You talk about one or more texts from the course, and then you can include something from outside the course. It needs to be 5 scholarly articles, right? And it should be about 5 pages. It can be longer. If you go over 5 pages, that's fine, but you need to shoot for a minimum of 5 pages. Okay. Um, the creative writing assignment, right, would to be you'd write a like a creative piece, a short story of some sort. It should be speculative fiction, right? But that's pretty broad. That could be science fiction, fantasy, horror, right? Magical realism, and then you would be using themes and literary devices that we've discussed throughout the semester. You'll need to submit a 1-page explanation of how your work was influenced by the readings and assignments from the course. Okay, so you would write um, your short story, right, and then plus a 1-page explanation. Right, so for a short story to be complete, I mean, there is such a thing as flash fiction. I think it would be really hard to do this one um, in anything shorter than like 5 pages. I think you need to create at least a 5-page short story. And that's my suggestion to you. If you are a pro at flash fiction, then go for it. But with this, I would shoot for 5 pages. Um, and then you'd have your one extra page that would kind of say, like, all right, I wrote this story about zombies because we've been reading about zombies, or like I was really interested in the experience of being a monster and being envisioned as a monster. So I wrote this story from the perspective of a monster, or, any number of things, but you would kind of talk about how the course readings influenced your writing, as well as a couple of like references to scholarly articles that kind of say like, all right, so if this was a published piece, right, people might think this about it. They might say this, and the relationship between these two characters suggests this, or the way this character sees his self or herself um, suggests this, right? You kind of do almost an analysis, a really brief analysis of your own work, and include a couple scholarly articles that would support that analysis, right? And then you can do an audio or video project. So that would be like a podcast or like a YouTube video, something like that. If you do that option, it needs to be 8 to 10 minutes long, and should include a transcript. So just like a written document that includes everything you say during, right, your project. And then you would, again, use at least one of the texts from the course, and you would want to include 2 peer-reviewed sources, right, related to those topics that would say, like, and then you would say, okay, as so and so, Dr. Johnson suggests about our concept of the uncanny, this character is a perfect example of the uncanny because of X, Y, Z, right? So basically, those are your options. You have the option to do a whole different thing if you want to, but you have to pitch it to me first, right? So if you don't do one of these options, you need to email me or message me and say, this is exactly what I want to do. This is how long I want it to be. Da, 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 and me and you will kind of come up with like a contract based, not really a contract, but an agreement about what you're going to do and how you're going to fulfill the criteria of the assignment. If you like have an idea and you're not sure if it fulfills the criteria, like don't just wing it. Just email me, or message me on Remind, and we'll kind of go back and forth a little bit, and I'll work through it with you and make sure that like what you're doing is going to get the best possible grade for the course, and that you're not going to run into any like unforeseen problems with that. Okay, so whatever you end up doing, post that to the peer review board by the 4th. Um, and this coming week, that's all I want you guys doing, okay, is working on your final project and contacting me about your final project. Um, so you'll see, let me go back, that that's all I have you guys doing, except for the end of course feedback if you want to do that, right? We have optional conferences. I'll be available if you need to meet over Zoom. I'm gonna be checking my email constantly and stuff. So again, if you have an idea and you're not sure about it, or you need help, or you just have questions, or you're confused, message me. Okay, this is the week to do it. Next week, right? So next Monday, you'll have your final project your draft due, and then your peer review on Friday. On Wednesday, I have you guys working on your course reflection and stuff. And then finals week, right, you have your final presentation, which I'll post a video for that shortly. Your course reflection and your final project due. And then we are done. So, again, welcome back. And please don't be shy, okay? Email me, message me. I'm available.